Hello, my friends. Ivory here. It has been a long time again since sharing. But every now and then there's a prompting within me. And I feel like the prompting came from some emails I received, some texts from friends asking how I am. And many of you know, but some of you don't know my journey the last 5 years. And I call it my Sundance journey. And let's go back to, gosh, probably 20 years ago. I was at a weekend, they call it a shamanic retreat, where the drumming and you journey, and very beautiful, very deep and powerful. And at one of the journeys, I was taken up into what they call the upper realms. And the light is very, very bright. And I was taken up into this very bright cloud of light. And then there was a path, and there was a looked like a person at the end of this path sitting, and I began to be moved, and I felt myself nearing closer and closer. And of course, I recognized him as Jesus, as Yeshua, the beloved. And he was, when I neared him, he was sitting on I'm going to say, it was like a wooden elk-like throne made out of stone, made out of it looked like just different parts of nature. Beautiful throne he was sitting on, wearing a loincloth, and he looked much darker than the pictures I've been raised with. And I was aware he was wearing this fur upon him as well, and his hands were bleeding, his side was bleeding, and he looked at me and he said, "This was my Sundance. You have your own Sundance to live." And there was more, but that was very profound. It always stayed with me, and I shared that at the group that weekend. And the guide who was guiding us really called me into that deep place of this life as a Sundance in some regard. So just barely touching that and not going too far into that, because I have writings on that, of course. Back up 2019, I had a bowel obstruction emergency surgery. And unbeknownst to myself and my dear husband, John, um, they damaged a nerve during that surgery. Now, we didn't know this, but okay, so I was healing. And 6 weeks after, when your meds are kind of, you're not on them anymore, every night from that day on, every night, no holiday, no Sundays off, no Christmas, every night I was woken up by what I could only call spasms in the night. And it's calling for the urge to go to the bathroom, um, but yet you don't really have to go. But there was this constant, and it would keep me up all night. And so the body naturally wants to push all of this. So I started taking things to help move, because it was like, what is this? But I couldn't get a hold of any doctors or surgeons that knew anything about this. Jump ahead, and the doctor I had just couldn't get a hold of it. We had no clue what this was, where this. So 3 years later, what it caused was a strangulated hernia. So 2 years ago, I ended up in emergency surgery with that kind of surgery now. At that time, though, that began to wake us up to why did this get caused in the first place? And it goes back to the post-surgical issue, of course. So, and jump to 5 years later, a friend of mine in Italy connected with a doctor out there who finally named it as tenesmus, blah, blah, blah. And then we ended up with a walk-in doctor. So, all to say, this is what I deal with on a nightly basis. I'm given some things to help me relax the organs or sleep and stuff, but I'm dealing with a damaged nerve. And what we're hoping, my husband and I, is to find maybe a neurologist can help, because no matter what drug, no matter what we do, the target is the damaged nerve, which causes all the other things happening. So I thought I'd catch you up. It's my Sundance. There's a lot in there as we all journey, especially if we're journeying on a physical plane. There's something, very deep calling me, of course, to the embracing of my suffering, embracing of this, the body going through its, and yet, this happened to me in a sense. So just wanted to share that with you, and really always hoping and praying that we go ever deeper, embracing where we are. And I found a poem I wrote so many years ago, and I think, well, it's so amazing how grace will precede us, so that when we're going through something, it can return to us. So this is what I'm being called to throughout this nightly spasm, nightly issue, and it's called Beloved Enchantment, written probably 20 or more years ago. And of course, living this experience. Leaving the shores of safety, I flowed down a river on a raft made of jasmine white flowers. Yes, a raft made of jasmine white flowers. You did woo me, ravage me, court me, undid me. Beloved enchantment, I am home. I am home. I am home. Thank you. I am Ivory. This is who I am. Prayers for all.